just hearing the different things that they didn't know about, like Mr. I think just hearing the different things that they didn't know about, like Mr. Brooks being kicked when he was down and them standing on him. I think that kind of thing was difficult. Tamika, Mr. Brooks's wife, she walked out a couple times. She just couldn't take it.
The attorney for the attorneys for the police officers who have now been charged say that the prosecutors are misrepresenting what happened and that that's not true. And in fact, Officer Rolfe's attorney says that the fact that they took a still frame of the video instead of playing the video is suspicious to him, and that his client never kicked Mr. Brooks. Let me just play for you what that attorney says.
My client never kicked Mr. Brooks. If there was a video of my client kicking Mr. Brooks, you would have seen it. He shows a still, and then one leg is planted and the other one's bent. He could be leaning down to try to give him first aid. It could have been when he was trying to evaluate whether he needed handcuffs. And this officer gave him CPR, monitored his pulse prior to that, talked to him to try to keep him breathing, and called for EMS and coordinated other efforts on the scene.
How about all of that? What's your response?
Well, I think it's great that there's a video. So at some point, we're going to see the video and we'll know exactly what happened. I think that the DA's office wouldn't have charged something that they knew they couldn't prove and that they'd be embarrassed by if it was a lie. So we'll see the video, but I'm pretty sure I'd believe that there was a kick if they say there's a kick. No other reason to really put that out there for them.
But how about the rendering aid and the calling the emergency services? Do you have evidence that they didn't do that for those 2 minutes?
We just have what we've been told by the DA's office. And so they've told us the same thing they've told you guys, that that didn't occur and that the kicks and the standing did occur. So we're going off that now, as just like everybody else. And when the video comes out, everybody will get to see exactly what's going on and what happened.
Did you think it was strange that there was confusion between whether or not the other officer who had turned state's evidence or not? The prosecutor made that declaration that that second officer, Brosnan, would be cooperating, and then his attorney said, no, he's not.
Yeah, I think it was a little strange, but that's what people can hire attorneys for, so that they can represent them. That officer, he's not a lawyer, and the DA's office, I don't really know what went on with them in the DA's office, so I can't really speak on it.
I want to play for you another clip of Rayshard Brooks in his own words. And this is from, he was speaking to a criminal justice organization called Reconnect that I believe tries to help people who had been in jail find a way back to life. And he talks about how hard it is to rebuild after something like that. So let me play a portion of this.
Oh, I have to have my guard up because the world is cruel. It took me through seeing different things in the system. It just makes you hardened to a point.
What do you think when you hear him speak like that, Mr. Miller?
I think it's really sad. Mr. Brooks was clearly trying to get his life together, and by all accounts, he was on the right path to doing that. That documentary, and I watched the documentary, it shows that he was a person who was kind of understanding life and kind of putting it all together. So for him to be taken away at this time is just really heartbreaking.
Was he struggling to turn his life around?
I think so. I mean, I think he had turned it around at that point. He was working, he had great relationships with his family. I think he had it together. At that time when that was made, he was just expressing how he felt trying to get it together. So, like I said, it's really heartbreaking that he had to die over a DUI stop.